In a small town just outside of Chicago lived a 17-year-old boy named Ethan Miller. He wasn't the smartest in school nor the most popular. He was quiet, always looking out the window during class, lost in his own thoughts. Ethan had only one real friend, his grandfather, Arthur Miller, a retired soldier who lived with him and raised him after his parents died in a car accident when Ethan was just 6. Arthur was a tough man, but he had a heart of gold. Every night, he'd tell Ethan a story from his past. Stories about courage, hope, and never giving up, no matter how hard life gets. But one day, Arthur fell seriously ill. Doctors said he didn't have much time. Ethan stayed by his side every day. And one morning, Arthur called him close and whispered, "Ethan, when I'm gone, open the top drawer of my old desk. There's something for you." That night, Arthur passed away peacefully in his sleep. The next morning, Ethan remembered what his grandfather had said. With trembling hands, he opened the drawer. Inside, there was a sealed envelope that simply said, "To Ethan, for when I'm gone." With tears in his eyes, he opened it. "My dear Ethan, life is going to get harder before it gets better. But I believe in you more than anyone else ever could. You always thought you weren't smart or special. But you are. You have a kind heart, a fighter soul, and the courage to do what most people are too scared to try. Go after your dreams. Don't let this town or fear or failure hold you back. If you ever feel like giving up, read this again. I'll always be with you, watching, proud. Love, Grandpa Arthur." That letter changed Ethan's life. He applied for a scholarship to a writing program in New York, something he had never had the courage to do before. He got in. He started writing stories, real stories, just like the ones his grandfather used to tell. Within 3 years, Ethan became a published author. His first book, Letters from Grandpa, became a bestseller across America. He traveled the country, telling people his story, a story about loss, love, and the power of one last letter. And every time he stood on stage, he ended with the same words: "Don't wait for a miracle. Be one." The crowd gave Ethan a standing ovation. People wiped their tears as he stepped down from the stage, clutching the same letter his grandfather gave him years ago. But that night, something strange happened. Back in his hotel room in San Francisco, where he was attending a book tour, Ethan received an anonymous message in his email. Subject: "You don't know the full story." Message: "There's another letter, one your grandfather never meant to send." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Was it a prank? Or something real? He replied, asking who they were. No response. Just coordinates to a place in Virginia and one line: "He wanted to protect you." But the truth was never buried. Curiosity took over. Ethan postponed the next part of his book tour and traveled to Virginia. The coordinates led him to a forgotten, half-burned farmhouse in the woods. Inside, buried beneath the floorboards, was a rusted lockbox. Ethan forced it open and found his second letter. This one was dated 20 years ago, long before Ethan was born. "Arthur, if you're reading this, then the plan is in motion. We protected the boy for as long as we could, but now they're looking for him. Ethan is more than just your grandson. He's the key to something bigger, something we swore to keep hidden. Tell him when the time is right, not before. Burn this letter after reading. M." Ethan stared at the paper in disbelief. Who's M? What were they hiding? What am I the key to? Digging into his grandfather's military past, Ethan discovered that Arthur had once worked with a secret division of the government, a group that helped protect certain children with rare cognitive abilities from being used in experiments. Ethan was one of them. He remembered things that no child should, saw patterns in chaos, heard music in silence. All his life, he thought he was just different. Now he understood why. He wasn't just a storyteller. He was a truth keeper, someone who had been protected, so he could one day protect others. Now, Ethan travels not just as an author, but as a seeker of truth. In every town, every speech, every book, he hides messages, clues, hints for others like him. He calls them letters to the lost. A secret movement begins. Teens across America begin to follow him, decoding his stories, uncovering truths hidden in plain sight. And somewhere in the shadows, someone is watching and waiting. Ethan could feel it now, a presence. He was no longer alone in his mission. That night, as he sat in a quiet motel outside Virginia, a knock came at the door. He opened it cautiously. A woman stood there, late 30s, sharp eyes, black coat. She handed him a small metal badge without a word. "My name is Agent Collins. I work with your grandfather. We need to talk." Sitting across from Ethan, Agent Collins revealed the full story. "The letter you found. M wasn't your enemy. M was your mother." Ethan froze. "What?" "My mother died in a car crash with my dad when I was 6. Agent Collins shook her head slowly. "That's what they told you. But the crash was staged. Your parents were part of a secret program called Project Lighthouse. They discovered something in your DNA, a rare gift, a form of hyperempathy. You don't just feel emotions. You absorb them, control them, even influence them." Ethan was stunned. "So why lie to me all these years?" "To protect you. The government shut down the project. But some powerful people still want that ability. Your grandfather hid you. But now, they found your signal again. You're in danger." Within days, Ethan was moved to a secure safe house in upstate New York. But even there, strange things started happening. His laptop was hacked. A drone was spotted hovering near the cabin. He received a note under his door. The enemy called themselves the Order, a rogue group of former agents who wanted to restart Project Lighthouse and use Ethan's gift to manipulate world leaders through emotion. Ethan began training with Agent Collins. He learned how to channel emotions, calm a room full of angry people, even detect lies by feeling emotional shifts. But the more he unlocked, the more it hurt. Every time he felt someone's pain, it became his own. Every tear, every trauma, it crushed him from the inside. "This power isn't a gift," he whispered one night. "It's a curse." Agent Collins replied gently, "Then use the curse to protect others who carry it. You're not alone anymore." Ethan went back to World, but this time with a mission. He launched a secret section on his website, hidden behind riddles and puzzles. It was a place where other gifted teens could connect, a secret network called. Each of his new stories, poems, and videos contained codes. And as they spread across the U.S., more young people began to wake up to their own powers. Empaths, intuitives, dreamers, all rising quietly. The letters to the lost had become a revolution. Ethan stood on a rooftop in New York, looking down at a sea of lights. Agent Collins stood beside him, earpiece in, eyes scanning the skyline. "They're getting closer," she said. Ethan nodded. "Then we don't run." He opened his laptop and hit upload. A new story went live. New York City. Midnight. Ethan's story, The Final Code, had gone live just moments ago, and the impact was immediate. Phones buzzed. Encrypted messages lit up secret apps. Across America, gifted teens, the Truthkeepers, woke up. The code inside the story had activated a hidden protocol. A map, a time, a call to gather. In Los Angeles, a girl who could feel earthquakes before they happened packed her bag. In Texas, a boy who could speak in dreams told his sister, "It's time." From Detroit to Denver, whispers spread. The signal has been sent. We follow the Truthkeeper. Within 48 hours, over 400 gifted teens were on their way to a secret location, an abandoned military bunker in Colorado, once used by Project Lighthouse. Ethan, Agent Collins, and a small team arrived first. They cleaned out the dust, set up tech, and prepared for what was coming. But the order wasn't going to wait. At 2:37 a.m., the base's power went out. Silence. Darkness. Then a voice crackled through the speakers, cold and familiar. "Hello, Ethan. We've read your stories. Powerful, emotional, but sadly dangerous. Come with us, or watch your little Truthkeepers burn." Explosions rocked the ground above. Drones. Gas. The order had arrived. Ethan turned to Collins. No more hiding. Using his ability, Ethan focused his emotions, a skill his grandfather had once said was impossible. He ran into the smoke, and with a deep breath, he pushed. Anger vanished. Fear melted. Drones dropped from the sky as the Order soldiers lost control, overtaken by a wave of calm they couldn't explain. Meanwhile, Truthkeepers fought back using their own gifts. One boy could disable electronics by touch. A girl named Maya, with hyperhearing, guided others through smoke like sonar. Twins from Chicago created illusions so real, enemy agents shot at shadows. But not everyone made it. In the chaos, a 15-year-old Truthkeeper named Leo, who had fire touch powers, gave his life to destroy the last drone. His sacrifice saved dozens. Ethan stood over his fallen friend. "I never wanted this war," he whispered. "But if it's come to us, then we finish it. Together." He updated the main story file, adding Leo's name as photo and one line. "You may burn my words, but you'll never erase what we become." After the battle, Collins revealed something even darker. The Order wasn't just trying to restart Project Lighthouse. They had created a new project, Project Eclipse, a weapon that could erase memories and gifted people using high-frequency pulses. They want to silence the next generation, wipe out every gift, every truth, every dream. Ethan clenched his fists. Location, underground base, Colorado. Time, 4:09 a.m. Ethan stood before a cracked monitor, the words Project Eclipse active flashing in red. Around him, the young Truthkeepers, tired, bruised, but alive, looked at their leader. Agent Collins stepped forward. If they activate Eclipse, it's over. Everyone with a gift wiped clean, like they never existed. Ethan looked around the room, at Maya, the girl with sonar ears, Andre, who could sense danger before it came, and the twins who spoke without words. Then we stopped them, not tomorrow, now. A hacker Truthkeeper named Cassie tapped furiously at a terminal. The signal's being launched from a decommissioned satellite base in Greenland. They've got a pulse generator already online. A 24-hour countdown had begun. If the signal went live, it would sweep across the U.S., erasing memory patterns in gifted brains. The Truthkeepers had less than a day. Using old military tunnels and repurposed aircraft from the Lighthouse archives, Ethan and a strike team of 12 Truthkeepers headed for Greenland. The flight was silent, not out of fear, but focus. Each one had seen what the Order could do, and each had something to lose. On the ground, the base was a fortress of ice, steel, and secrets. Inside, armed guards with neural blockers. A pulse core powered by quantum energy. And at the heart of it all, a man they thought was dead. "Hello, Ethan," said the man. Ethan stepped forward, his breath fogging in the cold. Grandfather? Arthur, Ethan's grandfather, the same man whose letter began it all, stood alive, wearing a black Order uniform. Ethan couldn't speak. Arthur smiled sadly. "They told me you died," Ethan said. "I did, in a way. But I made a deal to protect you, to keep you hidden. And now, I have to end what I started." He pointed at the pulse generator. "If I don't activate this, they'll unleash something worse. A virus that turns gifts into weapons. You have to trust me." The room fell silent. The Truthkeepers turned to Ethan. Collins whispered, "He's lying. Project Eclipse is the weapon." Ethan had seconds. His own grandfather stood between him and the shutdown panel. Then Arthur said softly, "There's one truth I never told you. Your mother is still alive." Before Ethan could react, guards opened fire. Maya screamed, using her echo shield to deflect bullets. The twins projected illusions of a second Ethan, buying time. Cassie hacked the panel. "We got 90 seconds before the pulse launches." Ethan ran to the core. Arthur blocked him. They stared eye to eye. "You have to choose, Ethan," Arthur said. "Me or them." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "I choose truth." With one last burst of energy, he channeled every emotion, every pain, love, and memory, and pushed. The generator shattered. Light exploded through the ice. Time seemed to stop. And then silence. When Ethan woke, he was in a hospital. Collins sat beside him, her arm in a sling. "You did it. The Order's network is gone. Pulse core destroyed. Your grandfather disappeared." But something was different now. Ethan felt stronger. Like something inside him had awakened, he turned to Collins. "You said something worse was coming. What did he mean?" Collins looked at the window. "Ethan, Project Eclipse wasn't the last program." She handed him a folder marked Project Leviathan Global Division. Inside, satellite photos, maps of Europe and Asia, and a photo of a woman in a red coat. "Your mother. She's alive, and she's leading the next phase."